once once my screen is visible to everybody.
Yeah, we can see it. Go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. So before I jump to the topic of career guidance in general, I would briefly like to touch upon the current marketing trends, specifically in India. But however, if you have seen the state report of marketing, the 7th edition from Salesforce, you can filter down that report to your respective country there. So briefly, we'll touch upon some of the marketing trends, and then we'll talk about various roles that exist in marketing as a business function across every organization, then the role that exists within Salesforce Marketing Cloud as an ecosystem and technology platform, and then how you can look to pursue various career options there. So first thing first, I think, and I am assuming that you would all agree with me and the rest of the world that digital transformation has hit an inflection point, specifically after and due to this pandemic. And what does this really mean is, from a survey that Salesforce did recently, they found out that if 100 people were doing an online shopping before pandemic, 58% of those 100 people are expected to do more online shopping after the pandemic. That means online shopping expenses are going to go up. The digital experiences where companies are trying to get in touch with their customers / buyers are going to go up. Similarly, business to business market, if you will, is expected to grow by 80% online. What again does this mean is, if 100 B2B customers who were working in an offline model where they were receiving some purchase orders against the quotations, and when they are fulfilling those purchase orders, they will getting paid. All those conversations were happening in person over phone calls. But now, due to pandemic, those conversations are expected to go up by 80% and become digital. In a nutshell, you can think of it as a business going on a business e-commerce portal and placing a bulk order for all the items and all the quantity and all the price points that they have already negotiated. So more of a B2B commerce in that sense. The report also says that the customers are estimated to split their online and offline interaction with companies. In 2019, if you see, the split between the online and offline interaction with various brands and companies were 42% was typically online and 58% was offline, which has completely changed the other way around. Once the pandemic hit us in 2020, the online interactions are now gone up to 60% and offline interactions have gone down. And then this trend is expected to continue. But what does this tell us? So it tells us that companies now have a mandate as well as the opportunity to expedite any digital transformation they have been stalling for years. Because before the pandemic, digital transformation were always looked upon from the priorities, business priorities and return on investment perspective. But now, if you take a typical example of an IT team in a company, if all the employees are working remotely and if IT team is not able to interact with them digitally, and by interaction, not just the conversation and collaboration, by interaction also means that able to troubleshoot their laptop, desktop issues, able to fix those issues remotely, have various capabilities to triage and do a lot of this stuff remotely. That is a typical example of going digital. So previously, organizations were stalling basis how business priorities were dictating some of these digital transformation. But now it has become a mandate. If your IT team does not have those digital engagement channels to manage your remote employee base, they are going to struggle. At the same time, this is also an opportunity where companies can look at innovative ways of creating these digital experiences, not just for their customers, but for their employees. So that means customer experience still remains the key competitive differentiator. It was a key competitive differentiator before pandemic. However, this differentiator was distributed across online interactions, offline interactions, some in the digital experiences space, some in the non-digital in-person experiences space. So this trend is expected to continue, that the customer experience will still be a key differentiator, but there is a change in the customers' expectation from companies, where now 76% of the customers are expecting consistent interactions across different departments. So for example, I still remember my old days working in the infrastructure technology space, where a customer used to report an issue. For example, my application is responding slow, and they used to log a ticket, and that ticket was received by service desk. Then that service desk used to send that ticket to database team, and they used to send it to network team, and they used to send it to application team. But then every team was going back to the customer and trying to just find out if this is database related at all. They were not bothered, their conversation with network team or application team. But now what customers are expecting is that once you interact with me, I am expecting you to have all the details of that interaction, and you bring all the details in a certain context instead of asking me again and again. Similarly, 54% of the customers, they generally feel like their sales department, service department, and marketing departments do not share information. And I think you have heard a lot about Salesforce Customer 360 platform. And the key value proposition for this platform is creating that 360 view of customer across department. So if you have a customer with whom your sales team is working, your service and marketing team are expected to know about that customer and are expected to know the conversation that sales team had or having with that customer. Single view of the customer is where, from an expectation perspective, the customer experience trends are going up. So what does this mean for marketeers like ourselves? So 66% of the marketeers are expecting revenue growth at their companies. And by revenue growth means that marketing efforts are expected to go up. But as you all know, marketing is all about creating avenues and generating opportunities for revenue generation. That is why marketing is such a critical function at each company. But I don't want you to look at this graph and try to understand what is written there. I would give you a lens to look at this graph. You see the right hand side of no change. To the extent which marketers say, these have changed since before the pandemic. So you'll see that less than 10% or somewhere around 10 to 12% are the people who are just saying, nothing has changed since before the pandemic and after the pandemic. But you will see that more than 90% of the marketeers are acknowledging the fact that a lot has changed before the pandemic in the space of marketing, which is a good news for marketeers. But with this good news, they also have to deal with change in the priorities, as well as the challenges, the new challenges that the shift in the trend has thrown at marketeers. So what are the top challenges that marketeers are expected to manage going into the next year? Is engaging with the customer in real time. So, a customer is tweeting about your brand in not a nice way. They are expecting you to respond in real time. If you are trying to interact with your customer through your e-commerce portal, you want to give them recommendation, they are expecting it to be real time. If you are giving out a coupon to your customer who has made a purchase of 30,000 rupees for Diwali shopping, that coupon should arrive to that customer in real time so that they can use that coupon. If you send that coupon out, once that coupon is expired, there is a dent in your experience right there. So the challenge, the biggest top 3 challenges are how to engage your customers in real time. Be innovative, because most of the marketing channels are now inclined towards digital. And with digital, the challenge in itself is the channels are just too many. Social media, advertisement, mobile, apps, in-app messaging, email messages, interactive messages, IVR, you just name it. So the challenge is for marketers to be innovative and make the best use of these channel. Is going to be the trend next. And then creating a cohesive customer journey. I think most of you have talked about it from a technology lens, that how important it is to define a journey for a customer, rather than just looking at your marketing activities from the lens of one-off activities. I have sent an email, promotional email, and done. No, you need to think of that interaction completely end to end. What happens when I send a promotional email? To whom I am going to send this promotional email? How likely they are going to read it, open it, or take an action on it? What if they don't take an action? What if they take an action? So you have to imagine, draft, and define that journey first before you map those to individual marketing activities. So these are the top 3 expected challenges for marketers. From a priority standpoint, again, be innovative, make the best use of digital channel, reach out to your customer where they are, when they want it, and how they want it, and try to engage with them in real time. So challenges, opportunity, but the good news is the marketing domain is shifting heavily in the direction of digital interactions. So can marketers embrace change? This change with optimism? I don't think they really have a choice. I think they should do. And the reason I have put this screen here is just to give you an idea of typically in a company where your marketing budgets are typically consumed. So if you'll see on the both side, and left hand side represents your B2C marketing budget, where you are interacting directly with your end customers. On the right hand side is B2B. Do not put it in the context of marketing cloud or Pardot yet. Just think that there is a company which is in the B2C space, their marketing budget will be for B2C, and 22% of their B2C marketing budget just goes towards advertisement. Okay. Whereas for B2B, it's just 19%. Why? Because in a B2C space, you need to do a lot more advertising to create a lot more revenue there. So advertising is a big part of this. But from the remaining components, I'm going to just focus on 2 components. In fact, 2 components. One is the people, the blue one right here. And then the second is tools and technology, the navy blue one. So if you'll see, 40% of marketing budget for a B2C company is going to end up either investing in people or investing in tools and technology. And this is, higher than it has ever been in the past. And in the past, most of the marketing budget were typically consumed around advertisement, events and sponsorship, content, and other marketing activities, where every organization wanted to keep their marketing functions as lean as possible, and from a tools and technology perspective also. But now there is a shift in this paradigm. Marketing is heading and heavily leaning towards the digital experience side of the house. Tools and technology are required in order to successfully navigate those waters, right? So this is the fantastic news for all of us. Companies will continue to spend more in marketeers, the marketing people, and the tools and technology that they use. And the moment tools and technology we refer here, now you can bring back your lens of Salesforce Marketing Cloud as a tools and technology platform, as well as Pardot as a tools and technology platform. Okay. So what does this mean? So this is both a year of transition where we move away a traditional marketing from a traditional way of doing marketing into the digital way of doing marketing. So it's an year of transition for us, as well as this is an year for opportunity. There is just a lot of opportunities for marketeers to make the best out of it. So marketeers need to double down on the critical investment and opportunity areas. Okay. So with that, now I'll refer back to the questions mentioned on those slides. So a lot of questions talked about the career path in marketing and so on and so forth. So before, again, you start thinking of marketing as Salesforce Marketing Cloud Platform or Pardot, you need to first understand what marketing is as a function, right? Every organization has a business group or a functional group known as marketing team. Why do they have it, and what roles in general they have in those marketing functions is something you need to understand. And this is something I have taken from Salesforce Marketeer Career Path. You'll see that within a marketing function at a company, you have areas, which areas and teams which are focused on demand generation, creating more demands for the services or products that your company is selling in the market. How do they create that demand? Then there is a team which is focused on email marketing, right? They just try to reach out your customers where they are, and they do a lot of email marketing activities. There were a lot of questions that you have asked around reporting capabilities, or I want this view and that view. That is where there is typically a team that does marketing analytics in any organization there. And you will see these roles. There is a demand generation specialist, there is a demand generation manager, and you can go to these trails where you can find more information about these roles there. Similarly, there is a marketing data team, you have data science there and operations director. And then you have a CMO team, the leadership team in the market. So these are in general roles in a typically marketing function at any company, right? Now, when you take these roles a step further and you put these roles in the context of Salesforce Marketing Cloud as a technology platform, or Salesforce Pardot as a B2B marketing platform there, what role that we see typically across the globe in the Salesforce ecosystem are these five. And I've just put in for Marketing Cloud, not for Pardot. I think we can relate to it most likely one-to-one with Pardot roles as well. So there is a Marketing Cloud specialist. What do? Is they just enable businesses to reach prospects across multiple channels. Marketing Cloud admin, the house owner of the platform, who controls and manages the platform. Then you have Marketing Cloud consultants who educate their customers. How should they use Marketing Cloud, and how should they align it to their own marketing processes? Marketing Cloud developers, are required to create those cool emails, create a lot of configurations, write automations, so on and so forth. And then you have Marketing Cloud architect. So typically, these are the five roles that we observe in the Salesforce ecosystem globally in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud space. When put in the context of B2B marketing, I think you can think of a Pardot specialist, Pardot admin, Pardot consultant, Pardot developer. Maybe again, both marketing and Pardot are not very developer heavy platforms. And then maybe B2B business architect there. So now that you know what roles typically exist and we are observing in the Salesforce ecosystem, you may want to know and ask that, which role is good for me, or which role should I go for? So if you really see, this is a matrix that talks about your experience versus expertise. So when you are just entering into the marketing cloud or Pardot space, and you are at entry level, you are just a beginner, you may want to explore Marketing Cloud admin roles or Marketing Cloud specialist or Pardot specialist role. But then when you grow and become, you have expertise level of an intermediate level, and you are at mid-level from an experience point of view, that is when you can think of pursuing the consultant role for Marketing Cloud or Pardot. And if you have certain inclination towards, logical thinking and, inclination towards playing with the code and programming, that is when you can explore the developer role. And once you have acquired good enough information and you are at a senior level, and your expertise has also grown to advance, is where you may want to look at Marketing Cloud practice lead or architect roles there. And before I wrap up, these are some of the skills that typically recruiters look for. And I'm sharing this from my experience point of view, that you should not always put any role in context of just technical skills, right? There is a lot that goes and is required for you to do well beyond technical skills. So whenever you're looking at any role, my suggestion is you bifurcate the skills required in two categories. What are the technical skills that are required for me to do this role, and what are the general skills there? Okay, so for a typical marketeer, the expected general skills are, they should be good at organizing things. They must be a good communicator. They should have some chops of project management so that they can manage their work, their team's work. They can plan it out. They can monitor it well. They should have good ability to write content, create content, write emails. They should be good at planning, because if you cannot plan, then you cannot execute. And if you cannot plan your marketing activities, you cannot guarantee any revenue returns there. And creativity, I think, goes without saying. Marketing is a creative world. Now, none of these skills so far has talked about your technical capabilities, right? But you are expected to have some level in these general skills. And then when it comes to the marketing skills, goes without saying, you must know Marketing Cloud or Pardot or both. You should know what social media is. You should be a good user of social media. You should know how all of it works. Salesforce platform knowledge is, again, good to have there if your customer is using Salesforce as a CRM platform, and so on and so forth. But the real takeaway for you here is, when you look at any role, try to look at it from two different lenses. What are the technical skills that I need, and whatever the general skills I need. I think that is the last slide I have. So any questions there for me?
That was really awesome, Anil. Like, very, very comprehensively done. Deep dive. Team, if you have any questions for Anil, please go ahead and put that in chat. Okay. Yeah, in the interest of time, Anil, I'll go on to the next agenda item. Like, if questions come in, can you just take a look at the chat?
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay.
Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Anil. Let me go ahead and share. Just give me a second. Okay, team. So now we'll move into our knowledge sharing section part. Anil, can you confirm if you can see my PowerPoint?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. So the first one that we'll have for today is on a little bit on Marketing Cloud, and then we have a couple of sessions on in Pardot as well. So this one, I'll make it very quick. I'll just have a couple of slides where I'll give you a very short overview of this new feature that came out, I think, earlier this year or maybe late last year, sometime around that time. It's called the wait until event activity in Journey Builder. Okay. So those of you who are familiar with Journey Builder, you would know that there is multiple activities that you can pull into a journey. Okay. And those of you who do not know what Journey is or Journey Builder is, it's nothing but a marketing automation tool that you have within Marketing Cloud, where you can actually configure, like, for a one-to-one engagement with a contact or a user. Okay, so you can send a contact through that journey, like, for instance, you can send them an email, then wait to see how they responded, and then send them another communication, do some updates to the data, etc. So that's what a journey is, right? And so for those who have been using journeys, this is a new activity that has been added recently. Now, to give an idea about, what or how this activity is useful, I'll give you a scenario first. Okay, so let's say you have a set of contacts that you want to send an email with a call to action. Okay, and primarily you want them to, click and go to a landing page and fill some details which we will then store and use it in updated that into our data extension, okay, in marketing cloud. Now, based on when the user fills the form, we want to send a coupon to him or her, okay, for that he can use it for some promotion that we have. And if they don't fill it, we want to send them a reminder mail as well, okay, saying that okay, there will be future promotions that you were not able to take this one, but we want to make sure that you get the coupon next time that we do it, something like that. Okay, this is just a very fictitious scenario, so don't think this is something that we always do, but just to give you an idea. Okay, now the maximum that we can wait for people to go and fill this particular form and for us to track that is maybe 30 days. Okay, so let's assume that is a scenario, right? Now if we were to solution this, okay, this is what that probably the journey might look like. Okay, so I might have the contacts entering it, okay, and then this is the email with that call to action that I would send. And then right now, without if earlier when we were trying to do it, we would actually put in a wait period where we say we have to wait for 30 days. Okay, within after that 30 days I will go and check, okay, has this person this particular contact who's come in, has that person gone and filled the data and his data extension been updated with some flag or some value that that tells us, okay, this person has updated this particular form, or some data has been updated. If so, we will say okay, send that coupon to that person. Okay, otherwise we will say okay, did not, then send the other one. But then the problem comes is what happens to a person who's actually filling this on the first day? Okay, and then if I want that person to immediately get the coupon, there's no way, I still have to wait for 30 days. Otherwise, if I let it go, okay, immediately after that person, if I reduce the wait time here not to maybe 1 or 2 days to get the people in the beginning, I might lose people who might be coming after a few days as well. Okay, so there is a always some sacrifice that you will have to do if you go for this particular method, right? Other option is maybe you can do is once they finish this CTA, you send them out of this journey, and then as soon as they fill in the form, it can be either internal or external, you then inject them to another journey, right? And then have them either send a coupon. If they don't, then you have to check something and then send them a future promotion, etc. It's you have to maintain multiple journeys for the same scenario. Okay, so now when you come to our this new activity that is there, so this is how that will look like. Okay, it's very very different. Okay, so instead of the regular wait activity, now you can actually add this where the contacts will actually wait for a given period of time. Okay, and you can trigger based on an event on when that contact can move out of that wait step. Okay, then this will be an API event trigger. Okay, so which you can even do from a landing page, or if it's an external page, because it's an API driven thing, you can directly send that information to this particular wait until event. Okay, now can you guys tell me what is one other thing that you notice as a difference between this particular solution and the previous one here? You can put in chat. Anybody? Time delay is less. Okay, no wait period. Actually there is a wait period in the second one. I'll come to that. There is a wait period here, but yeah, but anything else that you notice that is not there in the second one? Yeah, decision split, right? So basically you don't need to actually have even have to store that data in the data extension and do a check using the decision split to decide what to do next. If the event is already triggered from the landing page as part of the submission, it is understood okay, that it is confirmed that the contact has filled the form, and they directly move that person to the event occurred path. Okay, and if he never fills the form, the wait activity, what happens is inside this particular wait until event, there is an option for you to go ahead and specify how long do I need to wait for. Okay, I'll show that shortly in the actual journey form. It will tell you. So what I can do is I can say 30 or 30 days or 1 month, wait for for whoever is over here. If the event occurs within that 30 days, immediately send that person across this path. If the event never occurs for that person, after the 30 days expires, or whatever the duration that you have given, they will go through this path. So that is what this wait until event activity will do. Okay, so it's just to summarize, you can just drag and put this event here. Okay, you have to specify that okay, what is the max duration that this wait until event has to be configured. Okay, the contact who's coming in through this journey will wait over here till that wait period expires. anytime during that duration that the person is waiting, if a trigger occurs that qualifies that particular contact criteria whatever we have specified, they will immediately move to this path. Okay, if not, after the expiration they will go down the other path. Okay, so now you saw, like, if a person coming in and filling the form immediately after they got the email, they will immediately get triggered out, like, because that we will have written some logic in that form to, like, directly trigger this event through API. Okay, we don't even have to send the data back to a data extension and do a decision split check. A person who's doing it on the 29th day also will get triggered, like, but based on when they do it, that is when it will get triggered. So that's the best part about using this particular event. Okay, so let me show you this one here. So this is the sample of that journey that I just showed you. When I click on this one here, uh, oh, okay, I think it is asking me to log in. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. So, okay, so when you actually drag and drop this particular activity here, there are 4 things that you can specify. Okay, 3 of them are required and 1 is an optional one. So first and foremost, because I said it's an entry, like, or a trigger, it's actually based on API key, right? So when you create this particular activity here, you have to, say either select a new API key, or you can actually select an existing one, which I'll show you shortly later. But then when you create it as a new one, you have the option to, like, create a new API key, which they will define it over here. Okay, and then you have to give a data extension, like, this basically for logging all the contacts that are coming in through this particular yeah, this trigger, like, whenever it gets triggered through the API, they will get logged to this data extension. This will be different, or may be same. If you're using an API entry here, they can be same, or if it's a data extension source here and this one is an API one, they can be different data extensions also. Okay, the maximum wait duration. So this is what I was saying earlier, like, you have options to, like, specify days, months, and I think year as well, I believe. So you can actually specify that. I haven't seen hours, I think, like, so let me just confirm that here. So yeah, day, week, and month, actually, sorry, not years. So then there's only limited values that you can see here as well. From 1 to 12 only you can see it. As of now, that's what they allow us to, like, configure, right? So I actually gave, like, 1 month like duration, like, so that's almost like 30 days. So I have the option to, like, specify different duration. But what will happen is the contact will wait in that particular state till this duration, until a trigger occurs. Like, so if a trigger occurs before this duration expires, that person will get triggered. He will move to the event occurred path. If not, they will go the no event path. Okay, now there is a few points that that you need to note, like, when you look at this one. One is, like, there is a primary key thing that you need to understand on the data extension. Okay, so let me just show you the data extension. This is a data extension that I was using for that particular the wait until event, right? So you will notice that I have not kept a primary key here. Okay, the reason is because I may have, like, the contact being triggered multiple times, like, so you have to look at what is your scenario. Okay, how often do you think the contact coming here will get a trigger? If you think that person is going to be coming in only once, and then you don't want multiple instances of that contact getting triggered, you can use a primary key. Okay, but if you expect that particular contact to get like, triggered multiple times, what happens is you will see here in this data extension, I have the same contact actually being logged multiple times because I was triggering him multiple times. Okay, maybe it's not getting refreshed, I think, because it was a old one. Okay, that's fine. So basically you need to, like, make sure that you have like, you have specified the if you specify the primary key, if you try to re-trigger that particular contact again to that same event, it will be an error. Okay, so think of this as a scenario, like, like, for instance, let's say I had applied a filter saying when a contact comes in over here, okay, during 30 days, if he makes multiple purchases, okay, if his tier level goes to, gold, okay, then I want him to go this one. Okay, if not, within the 30 days, if he makes multiple purchases, Okay, every time he makes a purchase, a trigger will be happening here. Like, it will update this one and saying, okay, he's made a purchase. Now go and check, like, okay, this is the amount that he's in. His trigger, his level has not changed, something like that. Okay, so every time that trigger occurs, that particular entry will be put into the data extension. Okay, but then we will keep a filter here and saying, is his what do you say, the tier level, has it gone to gold? Like, every time the purchase, the trigger has come in, has it gone to gold? If it has not gone to gold, I don't want that person to go in. So let's say somebody has done 5 purchases in a month, okay, during this duration that we are waiting. The first 3 times, like, that purchase trigger came in, like, the tier level never got changed. So the person will still continue to, be in this particular state for the remaining duration of that 30 days. Okay, let's say on the 25th day he made one more purchase, and, like, suddenly his tier level got to gold. Okay, then when that next trigger comes in, automatically we will check the filter condition we would have specified over here as, if the tier level equal to gold, like, that's what we would have given, then that person will get triggered over here. So during that duration, let's say he never got tier level to gold, even though you did multiple triggers, that person will never get triggered into that event occurred path because of the filter criteria, right? Now, in order for this particular scenario to work, okay, remember I told you, like, within that 1 month, we try to trigger this person multiple times to this wait until event, right? So you are actually logging multiple records of that contact to that trigger DUE, to a data extension, right? Because of that, like, you cannot specify a primary key using the contact key or the email. That unique ID you cannot give. Any other unique key you can give, like using some timestamp or something, so that it doesn't distinguish, like, okay, and say, like, okay, the same contact cannot be entered. Like that, you can use a primary key. But if you use a primary key that specifies a contact key or a email ID that, uniquely identifies the contact, will become a problem. It will say, sorry, I cannot enter this contact again into the data extension here. Okay, so depending upon your scenario, you have to evaluate, okay, how often the contact will actually enter into the journey, like the re-entry criteria. How often do I want that contact to be triggered? Okay, based on that, you would set the primary key part. Okay, then when you pause the journey, like, so many times we have seen, like, okay, I want to, like, edit, like, an existing journey, like, I want to make changes. If you pause the journey, you cannot edit it. Okay, so if you want to make changes to the wait until event, you have to create a new version. Okay, and then you can use multiple wait until events in a journey as well. Okay, so if I go back to here, so in this particular case, I can use, like, see, wait until event. I've used 2 of them. Okay, and each one I create can have its own API, okay, its own API key. I can have a different API key for the entry as well. Okay, but in this particular example, what I've done is I have used the same API definition key for all 3 of these. Okay, and this is a worst case scenario that I just tried out to see, like, what will happen in that particular case. Okay, and I've not set a primary key. So what happens is, like, if I actually do a trigger, like, from a postman client or from an external client, if I try to send a contact into this data extension, it will actually trigger all 3 of these with the same contact. Okay, so first, if it will actually come here, okay, and then first one will be an entry, right? It will actually go into here and enter the contact. Okay, that contact will go here. Next, it will actually hit here as well and see, like, is there a contact already here in this wait state that is qualifying for that contact key? If there is, that contact will get triggered and the contact will move ahead. Okay, same thing again, it will do over here as well. Okay, this is a very rare case scenario that you may not be doing most of the time. Like, for you, most of the time you will just use it once and then you will directly be hitting the trigger here. So all you need to know is, like, for your scenario, like, if the contact is in this particular wait state, if you want that contact to be moved from there, you just have to, like, trigger that wait until event with the contact ID of that particular contact. They will get triggered as long as the filter, if there is a filter criteria and you satisfy the filter criteria. That's all. Okay, now you might also ask, okay, how do I actually use the same definition key across? For that, you have to use something called reusable entry sources. So here under journeys and entry sources, you have to come to entry source. You can actually create a entry event entry source here. Okay, and that will create the definition key and all that, and then you can use that across all 3 of these. Like, you can, when you configure this, it will ask you to select. So you can select that and add that in. Okay. Any final points here? Just let me see if I missed out anything. Yeah, the last one is, like, if you're using package manager, The last time I checked, it is still not supported as of June release. I haven't checked in the August release, but wait until API event. If you are using in a journey and if you're trying to package the journey, it will give you a warning error. It is, as of now, I don't think it is supported when you want to do it as a package. Okay. That's primarily what I had on the wait until event activity. I hope you got some idea of how you can use that. I'll go ahead and pass it to Anurag, to start this, and I will answer any questions that you have on chat as well. Okay, guys. Anurag, do you want to go ahead?
Yep, I am sharing my screen. Just let me know if it is visible. Okay, so Shibu, is my screen visible?
Yep. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we have a new feature which was released in summer 21. This is prospect mailability improvements. And it is basically a very major change if somebody is working on the Pardot platform. So this actually going to release in the summer 21, but it will be auto upgrade in winter 22 release in all the Pardot editions. So make sure if you are being as a Pardot admin or as a marketer, you are closely working with your marketing team, and the same with working with your business team. If you're working on some service projects or some client project, then you must educate to your business and same to your internal marketing that this feature will be rolling out in winter. I mean, this already being rolled out, but this will be auto upgrade. So there is no chance to revert, or you can say a rollback. So this will be auto upgrade in winter 22 release in all the Pardot edition. Now, before moving ahead, further, let's understand what is basically prospect mailability, right? So we are doing the email marketing and we know what value is basically of the prospect. So prospect mailability means that a record is either available to send email or not. And this feature is basically giving a more visibility to the marketer about the status of the prospects and to give a more described picture, described definition and the more granularity when it's come with the prospect records. So there are some new fields and new status which is being recently introduced in Pardot, and this being introduced across all the Pardot editions. So we have in summer 21 as we have a new section is being introduced, which is named as mailability. You can see in the screen, we have the two prospect, which is prospect A and prospect B. And this will give us a more insight regarding the prospect mailability details at one glance. So you can see there is a prospect A, which is having a different mailability status, and all these status are now being recently introduced if you have enabled or if you have not enabled till now, but moving forward, you will be seeing the new status on your every prospect record. So we have the prospect A and the prospect B. The prospect A status is the operation emails only. That means this prospect is opted out as a true and mark them as a do not email. So these two things, opted out and do not email, are basically a very important aspect moving forward because now these two fields are not interrelated. Previously, we have these opted out and do not email fields are tightly coupled, which means if somebody is being opted out in any of your email communication, it should be marked as do not email also in your Pardot account. But now the ownership of the opted out is from the prospect side, or you can say, the end customer or the end prospect. And do not email is now being a functional field, which is being taken care moving forward by the Pardot admin or the marketer. So a prospect A says that, this email status is operation only, which means that we cannot send them as generic emails. This will also be a part of for the operation emails, like for sending out any of the notice of your server or any of your operation side. Now the same, you will be seeing a new fields which is being recently introduced, which name as email uniqueness. That means this status, this prospect record says that this is not a multiple prospect. This is the prospect A record is showing that it is a multiple prospect, which means we have a two prospect record exist with the name of prospect A. Same email address. And the same for a prospect B is that this prospect is a mailable prospect, and the mailable prospect means that we can send out an emails from our Pardot platform. And the uniqueness of this email is unique. I mean, there is no duplicate prospect which exists in my Pardot database. So this is something which is, which we have is being recently introduced. I'll just go back to my screen and just want to show you how you can see. So this is my Matthew Hicks record, and just let me know if you can see the screen. So this is my new prospect record. So whenever you are getting a new release, you'll be seeing in a pop-up over here, there is a green button which name as Get Started. The moment you click on Get Started, your new release will be enabled in your Pardot database. So you can see there is a prospect record which name is Matthew Hicks. Now Matthew Hicks he filled out some form from my website. He visited to my Pardot website and he filled out a demo form and he popped out in my Pardot database. Now this Pardot account, you can see a different over here, which is a mailability section. And this Matthew Hicks record is now mailable because he didn't opted out from any of my email communication. And the do not email field, which is now ideally being treated as the functional field, is also being false. So I can add this Matthew Hicks in my mailable database in my list in my Pardot, and I can send out an emails. Now the same for the mailability section. What change else we have is when you go to this prospect list, you'll seeing a new icons which is now being populated. So all the icons which was previously there, you will be seeing a new icons over here. You'll seeing the red icons, and you'll seeing previously we don't have these type of icons which shows us what the status of the email shows. So this is okay. Now we have a different status. As I said, in the Pardot is being recently introduced, is we have 4 type of status, which is mailable, transaction only, undeliverable, and archived. All these status are coming up with the different definitions. As a mailable, like email mailable record is a prospect can receive your marketing, transactional, and the operation emails. That means he is being subscribed on all your marketing communication, and there is no hard bounce. It's a good record for you. Then we have a mailable transaction only. This status says that that this prospect will be receiving the transactional emails and the non-promotional emails. Non-promotional emails are basically the operation emails and your autoresponder emails, but you cannot send them a generic emails, right? Which says that about your marketing email sort of thing. But there is some different criteria for this, for having this mailable transaction only record, that your record should be either opted out and your do not email should be true. So these if you found these type of records, then it will be counted as mailable transaction only. The third one, we have the undeliverable, which means that a prospect can't receive any emails because it marked them as a hard bounced, 1 hard bounce and a 5 soft bounce. A Pardot count a hard bounce, like 5 soft bounce, it will be converted into 1 hard bounce. So if your record count as 5 soft bounce, automatically Pardot convert from 5 soft bounce into the 1 hard bounce. So you cannot send out any emails to your undeliverable records. And the fourth one, we have the archived, which means that unmailable and prospect which are in our recycle bin. So these type of prospects where you have deleted from your Pardot database and they are currently residing in your recycle bin, you cannot send out any emails to those prospects. Now, we have a very unique feature, which I showed you in your previous slide, which is showed as email uniqueness. Now, this field is basically drive you how many records you have in your Pardot is duplicate. Previously, we don't have any of this feature available. It was very tedious job of a Pardot admin or whoever is handling the Pardot database to find out how many duplicates record you have. Either you can only export your complete set of data, and then you can play with your CSV file to find out how many through the email address, by putting out some formulas in your CSV file, and then you are able to extract, okay, how many prospects are basically duplicate. Then you will be either merging from your Pardot database or either, deleting from your Pardot. But now we have a feature which is introduced on your mailability section in your Pardot record, which shows you how many prospects are duplicate with the same email address. But this change will only occur if your account is MC enabled, which is allow multiple prospects with the same email address. This feature is, if your org is, this feature is being enabled, then you can see for every record that email address is shared with multiple prospects. I'll walk you through from where you can see this thing. So let me come back to my screen. And this is my Nick Jonas record. Now, when I edit this record, it's showing over here, email address is shared with multiple prospects. That means I have the same email address exist in my Pardot database with the same name and the same email address. Now, when you edit this record, when you click on this mailability field, you will see this section over there. It means apply the do not email value to one prospect that shared the nickjonas@gmail.com. If you apply this as a true, then you'll be seeing a pop-up notification which says that checking this box may affect the other prospect availability, which means you are marking this prospect as a do not email. That means both the records will be counted as do not email, and the status is for, like if you want this to be counted as true, you can make them the true and click on this save prospect and apply. That means all the email address which includes this, with having the same email address, it will be saved as a do not email as a true or whatever thing. So this is the feature which is being recently introduced. Previously, like as I said, it was not available, but this was something where you have a very granularity that you can dig out every prospect records. But make sure you have the MC enabled, and then only you can see this feature enabled. Now we have a very important aspect when it comes for sending out an emails. If the marketer is sending out an emails from the Pardot, which is opted out and the do not email. Previously, what we have is that opted out and the do not email fields are the tightly coupled. If somebody is being opted out any of the email communication, either through some web forms or through some by clicking on the unsubscribe link, that also being treated as a do not email marked as a true. And but now what changed is that the opted out is now being taken care by the prospect. That is, the ownership will be taken care by the prospects and controlled. And the do not email field, which is having a value of true and false, is now being a functional field, which is controlled by Pardot user. There's one more thing which I would like to add over here is that, if you guys worked on the Pardot system previously, or, you found that you cannot import the do not email records and the opted out in your Pardot. But now you have a feature that you can, import those prospects who are opted out or who are do not email, directly in the Pardot, but make sure you are overwriting those fields values. So let's do one thing. Let's come back to our session and let's do a small demo. I want to create an automation rule, or you can see, a dynamic list where I just want to check how many prospects in my Pardot is having do not email as set as true and the hard bounced. As this is my, this is my Pardot sandbox. So I can't show you the, the functionality will be different, but you will be seeing a change which we recently got after this section. So I'm using a prospect, hard bounce, true. And when you click on this action over here, match rule type, you'll be seeing the match or match any as per your needs. You can, you can use this filter. So previously we have the email status field, which includes only the opted out or either the do not email. But now you will see the 4 option over here that, if you found that a soft bounce is being detected or the hard bounce is being detected, you can easily see those things over here. So when you select the, if you want to see those prospect record, which is having do not email set as true, you can make this. And the second one you can create as a prospect email address, prospect status is mark them as hard bounce. So you want to, get those data whose either a do not email field is true or either it is marked them as hard bounce. And then you can create a second action over here. Either you can assign to a different list. So I would like to go with over here is suppress prospect. So this is my action over here, and I'm clicking on this execute as real time. And the moment you click on the save automation rule, all the prospect which says that a record is being marked as do not email, and the same if the bounce that is hard bounce is detected, it will be stored into the suppress prospect, and then you can suppress this list while sending out your emails directly from the Pardot. The option over here is that you can see a south bounce detected and the hard bounce detected. Remember, as I said, that if you have a record which is having a 5 times soft bounce, Pardot automatically convert into them a hard bounce. So it will check those prospects who's having 5 times hard bounce, and or like if you see that this is not actually a not actually a soft bounce, you can reset. There will be option, you'll be finding a reset option over here. So you will see the option over there that if this is not a soft bounce, you can make them a malleable record again. The same for a hard bounce region over here. You can see that this record will be hard bounce on which date and which time and what was the reason. So 1 second, coming back to my slide over here, you can see this thing. You can see the south bounce reason. Whenever a field is being basically the hard bounce detected, you can see the status as undeliverable, and the south bounce detected yes. If you think that this soft bounce is not being, not from our end, that is not from the marketer email sent, you can click on the reset button, and you'll see the south bounce reason also. If you are aware about the errors, for the bounce codes, and those bounce codes are pretty much same what we have into the marketing cloud, and the same for the Pardot. You can see the bounce region over here for the technical bounce side. That means it is not from bounce from our end. Then you can make them as a reset. The same you can go with the hard bounce over here. If an email is marked as a hard bounce, you'll be seeing the two options. One is the bounce date and the bounce reason. And then you can create a separate bounce report on the basis of your activities. The same, you can create a journeys and use this bounce activity data in your journey. So I have a sample journey which I have created, which is basically a starting of my program. And let me do a test over here. Okay. So my journey will be starting over here, which is saying a prospect is being started, and apply a demo lead. That is apply a tag, which is a demo lead, and the email will be sent out, but its name is a Pardot champ. Now when the email will be sent out, it will be checking a 2 state. If the prospect email status is hard bounce is detected. If it is yes, then it will be stored into my internal test list, or maybe a different test list if you want, so that those prospects who are treated as a hard bounce, they will not be sending out the second email, and it will not impacting in your IP site. If not, then the second email will be sent out, and then you'll be seeing the again link over here. If a prospect click on the link within 0 days, if yes, then you can notify either a user as a Pardot champ, and then you can assign to a specific in your Salesforce campaign. So this your journey will be looked out for 2 days. I mean, remember, these journeys are basically dependent upon your client's wireframe. You should have a wireframe either from the business, or you should have as a consultant level of knowledge how your journey will be looking like. But you can add these filters. I have used as a complex rule over here. You can use either a complex rule or like either a single rule. I mean, sorry, this is a single rule, but you can add this. If you edit this record, and if you just add the second condition, it will become a complex rule for you. So if you just hold on 1 second. Prospect email status, I have used the hard bounce over here, and I'm choosing now as opted out, and I'm clicking on done. So if it is an hard bounce, and if it is an opted out, and if I'm clicking on this save, it will become a complex rule. You can see the complex rule. So this is my complex rule now. That means this stage will be checking the 2 criteria. Either a prospect is hard bounced and it is being opted out, or either a do not email mark them as true, right? So this is something where you can build out while sending out your drip campaigns from your Pardot, and make sure you are sitting closely with your marketing team, as I said, because this is a very important feature. Because if you have created a dynamic list, or like if you have segmented list on the basis of opted out and do not email, whenever a new feature will be released, the whole scenario will be different. And it was very, like it will be a very tough job for you to segment later on. So make sure you are aware about this release, and just educate to your internal team, and the same for the business. If you guys have any question, I'm happy to take.
Awesome. Thanks, Anurag. I think there are a couple of questions on the chat. I think Pankaj is trying to answer. Maybe you can take a look at it. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Let me go ahead and share the the last knowledge session for today, guys. Isha, are you on?
Yep, Shibu, I'm there.
Okay, so team, we'll have just one slide from Isha, and then we will move into the Kahoot quiz. So thank you for waiting patiently, guys. Go ahead, Isha.
So guys, this is a quick the quick pointer for Pardot in the latest release. It's like easily create beautiful responsive landing pages for your campaigns. Like as a marketer, if I need to be able to create my marketing content easily without the developers help, then the use of landing pages through the page builder, it's very easy. As you can see it on the right hand side of the picture, we just have to, like, it has three columns, three sections. If you see, the first section is the whole one column, right, in which the mobile phone, the analytics thing is there, and we're just drag and dropping from the left hand side component thing, and then we insert the content or the Pardot form, whatever we want to insert. So easily with drag and drop features, we can customize, we can like adjust the margins, and font, whatever you want to create with simple drag and drop things, you can definitely do that. With Pardot enhanced lightning page experience, we can even launch a new landing page, and that can be done in just 3 simple steps. Okay, what are those 3 simple steps? First, we'll build the landing page with clicks, not code, with the new drag and drop builder. As you see on this picture, this whole slide includes a lot many things. I'll be posting up a couple of things that you can follow up on this particular slide. With learn more, I'm just sharing you a link to the blog of this new release that has come up for Pardot. And with the help of watch demo, you can even have a look to the demo of this particular drag and drop editor for making landing pages faster. Okay, so once you are done with the setup, you can create landing page records, design landing pages, you can publish them right from your Pardot Lightning app. Just make sure that Salesforce files aren't supported in the builder. So we encourage that you follow the steps to integrate the Salesforce CMS. Okay, the Salesforce page source field helps you distinguish landing pages that appear in the new experience or in Pardot Classic. So once it's built, we'll publish our new beautiful landing pages to begin collecting leads. Finally, we measure our campaign performance to ensure we are on track to meet our goals. Okay, I've already shared the link to the article wherein you can just have more glance to it. It's available with the purchase of all Salesforce Pardot editions, and I'm just posting the link to the demo, which might help you all, helping your clients with this new easily drag and drop feature. So that's all, Shibu. I had a very short thing to share with everybody, and I hope folks will make the best use out of this drag and drop editor, and design their beautiful landing pages. So guys,
Awesome.
you can connect with me over Twitter and LinkedIn. I will be available. Over to you, Shibu.
Great. Thank you very much, Isha. So let me just